I was 24 years old when I received a text message that changed everything. It wasn't an invitation. It was a casual mention from my cousin asking what I'd be wearing to Lucy's wedding. I stared at my phone for a full minute before the reality settled in. My sister was getting married in 6 weeks, and no one had told me. When I called my mother to ask if there had been some mistake, she sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. She said Lucy had been under a lot of stress with the planning, and they decided to keep the wedding small and intimate. Just close family. I was her sister. I lived 20 minutes away. But apparently, I didn't make the cut. What happened next unraveled years of silence I'd kept. Stay until the end, because what my family lost was something they could never get back. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that subscribe button. You're not alone, and this story is for you. Let me back up and explain how we got here. I'm the oldest of 2. My sister Lucy is 3 years younger than me. Growing up, people always commented on how different we were. I was quiet, bookish, the kind of kid who colored inside the lines and handed in homework early. Lucy was vibrant, spontaneous, the kind of person who could walk into a room and own it without trying. My parents adored her for it. I don't think they meant to play favorites at first. It probably started innocently enough. Lucy needed more attention because she struggled in school. Lucy needed more support because she was sensitive. Lucy needed more understanding because change was hard for her. Somewhere along the way, needing became deserving, and deserving became entitled. By the time I was in high school, the pattern was set. When I made honor roll, my parents smiled and said they were proud. When Lucy passed a test she'd been dreading, we went out to dinner to celebrate. When I got into my first choice university with a partial scholarship, my dad nodded and said that was good. When Lucy got accepted into community college, they threw her a party and invited the whole extended family. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was being petty for keeping score. But I was keeping score. Somewhere deep down, in a place I didn't want to acknowledge, I was adding it all up. The small things accumulated. My debate team making nationals got a casual congrats. Lucy joining the drama club got a tearful standing ovation at dinner. My college graduation happened on the same weekend as Lucy's boyfriend troubles, so my parents left the ceremony early to go comfort her. They missed me walking across the stage. I graduated summa cum laude. They weren't there to see it. Still, I kept showing up. I called every week. I came home for holidays. I sent birthday cards and remembered anniversaries. I did everything a good daughter was supposed to do, because I thought if I just tried hard enough, eventually they'd see me the way they saw her. They never did. After college, I moved back to the area and got a job at a marketing firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable and I was good at it. I rented a small apartment, adopted a cat, built a quiet life for myself. Lucy moved back in with our parents after dropping out of her second attempt at community college. She said she was figuring things out. She figured things out for 3 years while living rent-free in their house. I visited every few weeks for Sunday dinner. The conversations were always the same. My mother would ask how work was going, I'd give her a brief update, and then the focus would shift to Lucy. What Lucy was doing, who Lucy was seeing, what Lucy was thinking about trying next. I learned to keep my answers short. There wasn't much point in elaborating when I could see their attention already drifting. Then Lucy met Aaron. He was a project manager at a construction company, 6 years older than her, stable in all the ways she wasn't. My parents loved him immediately. Within 3 months, they were talking about marriage like it was inevitable. Within 6 months, Aaron proposed at a family barbecue with everyone watching. My mother cried. My father shook Erin's hand for what felt like 5 minutes straight. Lucy beamed like she'd won something. I hugged her and said congratulations. I meant it. Despite everything, I wanted my sister to be happy. The wedding planning started immediately. My mother and Lucy spent hours looking at venues, flowers, dresses. They'd send photos in the family group chat, asking for opinions. I'd respond with thoughtful comments and suggestions. Sometimes they'd react with a thumbs up. Usually they'd just move on to the next topic. I assumed I'd be involved somehow. Maybe not a bridesmaid, but at least invited. That assumption died with a single text from my cousin Marcia. I sat in my car outside my apartment, phone in hand, reading her message over and over. Can't wait to see you at Lucy's wedding. What are you wearing? I'm thinking maybe that blue dress I wore to Katie's baby shower, but I'm not sure about the color for an evening ceremony. What do you think? My hands started shaking. I scrolled through the family group chat, searching for any mention of the wedding date. There it was, from 4 weeks ago. My mother had posted the date and venue. I'd been at work when the message came through and must have missed it. No one had followed up with me directly. No official invitation had arrived at my apartment. I called my mother. It rang 4 times before she answered. Hello, sweetie. What's up? Mom, Marcia just texted me about Lucy's wedding. There was a pause. Then a long exhale. Oh. Yes. The wedding. I didn't know the date was confirmed. Another pause, longer this time. Well, we posted it in the family chat. I know. I saw that. But I haven't received an invitation. Lucy's keeping it very small, honey. She's been so stressed with the planning. We wanted to keep things simple. The words hit me like cold water. Small? Marcia's invited. How small can it be if cousins are coming? Marcia's family. So am I. You know what I mean. Marcia and Lucy have always been close. Lucy wanted people there who she feels really connected to. I gripped the steering wheel with my free hand. I'm her sister. I know that. But Lucy's been very clear about wanting a certain energy at her wedding. She doesn't want any negativity or tension. What tension? What are you talking about? My mother's voice took on that patient, slightly condescending tone she used when she thought I was being difficult. You know how Lucy is. She's sensitive. She's worried that you might, I don't know, make things about you somehow. She wants her day to be perfect. The parking lot blurred. I blinked hard. When have I ever made things about me? It's not like that. You're different from Lucy. You have different energy. This is her wedding, and we need to respect her wishes. Did Dad agree to this? Your father supports Lucy's decision. We both do. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, trying to find words that wouldn't come. I have to go, I finally said. Someone's calling. I hung up before she could respond. I didn't cry. That's the strange part. I thought I would, but I just felt hollow. I went upstairs to my apartment, fed my cat, and sat on my couch in the dark. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. We love you. This isn't personal. Lucy just needs this to be her day. I hope you understand. I didn't respond. Over the next few days, I functioned on autopilot. I went to work, came home, avoided the family group chat. My phone rang twice with calls from my parents. I let them go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to hear more explanations about why I wasn't good enough for my own sister's wedding. On Thursday evening, my Aunt Laura called. Laura was my father's older sister, a straight-talking woman who'd never married and built a successful career as a financial consultant. She lived 2 hours away and visited a few times a year. She and I had always gotten along, though we weren't particularly close. "Your mother tells me you're upset about Lucy's wedding," she said without preamble. "Did she ask you to call me?" "No. I called because I heard something that didn't sit right, and I wanted to hear your side." I told her everything. The text from Marcia. The conversation with my mother. The explanation about energy and tension and keeping things small. Laura was quiet for a long moment. "How many people are invited to this wedding?" she finally asked. "I don't know exactly. But if Marcia's coming, probably at least 50 or 60 people. And they're telling you it's too small to include you." "Yes." "That's interesting. Your mother called me 2 weeks ago asking for a check to help cover the venue costs. She said Lucy's dream wedding was expensive and they were pulling together family contributions to make it happen. She asked me for $5,000. My breath caught. I wrote the check," Laura continued. "I was happy to help. But I wrote it assuming my niece's sister would be at the wedding I was helping to pay for. I didn't know they were asking people for money. Apparently they've asked several family members. Your grandparents contributed. Uncle Stephen and Aunt Nyla. Probably others. We were all told it was to give Lucy the wedding she deserved." I pressed my palm against my forehead. "I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything. I'm going to handle this. But I need you to do something for me." "What?" "I need you to tell me honestly, is this the first time they've done something like this? Or is this part of a pattern?" Before we continue, if this story is hitting close to home, drop a comment below. Let's build a community of people who understand what it's like to be the forgotten child. I should have lied. I should have protected them, minimized it, made it sound better than it was. But I was tired of protecting people who'd never protected me. So I told Laura the truth. I told her about my college graduation. About birthdays where my gifts were clearly last minute while Lucy's were carefully chosen weeks in advance. About the time I got pneumonia and had to drive myself to urgent care because my parents were helping Lucy move into her new boyfriend's apartment. About Christmas 2 years ago when I'd saved up to buy everyone thoughtful gifts, and Lucy gave me a gas station candle she'd clearly picked up that morning. I told her about being 24 years old and realizing I'd spent my entire life auditioning for a role I was never going to get. Laura listened to all of it without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for several seconds. "I'm coming up this weekend," she said. "Saturday afternoon. Don't tell your parents. I'll text you when I'm close." "Laura, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. I'll see you Saturday." She hung up. Saturday came. I was cleaning my apartment when Laura texted that she was 15 minutes away. I met her in the parking lot. She pulled up in her silver sedan, got out, and gave me a long look. "You look tired," she said. "I haven't been sleeping great." "I imagine not." She glanced toward my building. "We're not doing this here. Get in. We're going to your parents' house." My stomach dropped. "Laura, I don't think. I didn't drive 2 hours to have a polite conversation in a parking lot. Your parents need to hear some things, and you need to hear them say it out loud. You need witnesses. Get in the car." There was something in her voice that didn't allow for argument. I got in. The drive to my parents' house took 20 minutes. Laura asked me about work, my apartment, my cat. Normal conversation, like we weren't driving toward a confrontation. I appreciated her for it. When we pulled into my parents' driveway, I saw both their cars were there. Lucy's car too. Perfect. Laura rang the doorbell. My mother answered, surprise flickering across her face when she saw us together. Laura. What a nice surprise. We didn't know you were coming up. I didn't mention it. Is Stephen home? And Lucy? Yes, we're all here. Come in, come in. We followed her inside. My father was in the living room, reading the newspaper. Lucy was on the couch scrolling through her phone. They both looked up when we entered. Laura, my father said, standing. Good to see you. Sit down, Stephen. We need to talk. Something in her tone made everyone freeze. My mother's smile became uncertain. Lucy put her phone down slowly. Laura stood in the center of the room, and I stood slightly behind her, heart hammering. I spoke with your daughter earlier this week, Laura said, looking at my parents. She told me she's not invited to Lucy's wedding. I'd like someone to explain that to me. My mother's expression shifted to defensive. This is a family matter, Laura. We're handling it. You asked me for $5,000 to help pay for this wedding. That makes it my business. So I'll ask again, why is your eldest daughter not invited to her sister's wedding? My father cleared his throat. Lucy's wishes need to be respected. It's her day. That's not an answer. That's a deflection. Laura's voice was calm but sharp. I want to know the specific reason she's excluded. Lucy spoke up, her voice defensive. I already explained this. I want my wedding to have good energy. I don't want anyone there who's going to bring negativity. What negativity? Laura asked. She has a way of making things awkward. She doesn't really fit with my friend group. It would be weird having her there. I felt each word like a small cut. Laura turned to my parents. And you agreed with this? My mother lifted her chin. We support Lucy's decision. This is an important day for her, and we want her to feel comfortable. Comfortable, Laura repeated slowly. So your solution is to exclude your other daughter entirely. It's more complicated than that, my father said. Then uncomplicate it for me. Silence filled the room. I watched my parents exchange a glance, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, my mother spoke. Lucy needs more support right now. She's going through a major life transition. This wedding means everything to her. We can't risk anything going wrong. And what about her? Laura gestured to me. What does she need? She's fine, Lucy said dismissively. She's always fine. She doesn't need the attention the way I do. Laura's expression hardened. Is that what you actually believe? That your sister doesn't need anything because she's learned not to ask for it? This isn't fair, my mother interjected. You're making us sound like terrible parents. We love both our daughters. Then act like it. We are. But Lucy needs us more right now. She's 27 years old, Laura said flatly. She lives in your house rent-free. You're paying for her wedding. You've been catering to her emotions for her entire life. At what point does she learn to handle disappointment? That's not fair, Lucy said, her voice rising. You don't understand what I've been through. What have you been through, exactly? Lucy's face flushed. I've had a harder time than her. Things don't come easy to me. I've struggled. And she hasn't? Not like me. Everything's always been easy for her. School, work, everything. She doesn't know what it's like. I found my voice. You think things have been easy for me? Lucy turned to me, anger flashing in her eyes. Yeah, I do. You've never had to fight for anything. You just coast through life being perfect and judging the rest of us. I've never judged you. You don't have to say it. I can feel it. The way you look at me, like you're better than me. I've never thought that. You've always been Dad's favorite anyway, Lucy snapped. You're the smart one, the successful one. You don't need a wedding to feel special. My father looked uncomfortable. Lucy, that's not. It's true though, isn't it? Lucy's voice was shaking now. She's the one you're actually proud of. And just the disappointment you have to manage. The room fell silent. My mother reached for Lucy's hand. Sweetheart, that's not true. We're so proud of you. Then why does everything have to be about her? Even now, at my wedding, she has to make it into a thing. I stared at my sister, this person I'd spent my whole life trying not to overshadow, trying not to outshine, trying not to make feel less than. I didn't make this a thing, I said quietly. I didn't even know I wasn't invited until Marcia asked me what I was wearing. Lucy's expression flickered with something that might have been shame, but it was gone quickly. Well, now you know. It's my wedding, and I don't want you there. I'm allowed to have that. You're allowed to have anything you want, I said. You always have been. Laura stepped forward. I'm going to make this very simple, she said, looking at my parents. I gave you $5,000 for this wedding under the assumption that it was a family celebration. If your daughter isn't welcome at her own sister's wedding, then I don't feel comfortable contributing to it. I'll be stopping payment on that check first thing Monday morning. My mother's eyes widened. Laura, please. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I'm simply aligning my financial support with my values. I don't fund exclusion. This isn't about you, my father said, frustration creeping into his voice. You're right. It's about her. Laura nodded toward me. It's about watching you treat one daughter like she's optional and wondering who's going to stand up for her if I don't. We're her parents, my mother said. We know what's best. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you've made one daughter responsible for managing the other one's emotions for her entire life. And now you're asking her to accept being erased from a major family event because it might inconvenience your youngest. That's not parenting. That's enabling. Lucy stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. This is exactly the kind of drama I didn't want at my wedding. Then maybe you shouldn't have excluded your sister, Laura said evenly. Lucy looked at our parents, waiting for them to defend her. When they hesitated, her face crumpled. I can't believe you're letting her do this to me. This is supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and you're letting her ruin it. She ran upstairs. We heard a door slam. My mother turned to Laura, her expression tight. I hope you're happy. You've upset her right before her wedding. I'm not happy at all, Laura said. But I'm clear about where I stand. If you choose to proceed with this wedding without inviting your eldest daughter, you'll do it without my financial support. That's my boundary. She looked at me. And you need to decide what yours are. But whatever you decide, You have a place to stay if you need it. My guest room is yours for as long as you want it." The offer hung in the air between us. I saw my mother's expression shift to alarm. "That's not necessary," she said quickly. "This is her home." "This hasn't felt like home in a long time," I said quietly. The truth of it settled over the room like dust. My father stood up. "Let's all calm down. We can work this out." "How?" I asked. "How do we work this out, Dad? Either I'm invited to Lucy's wedding or I'm not. Either I matter to this family or I don't." "Of course you matter." "Then why am I not invited?" He didn't have an answer. Or he did, but he couldn't say it out loud. The truth was that Lucy mattered more. She always had. And they'd all accepted it as normal for so long that pointing it out felt like the real transgression. I looked at my mother. "I'm going to pack some things. I'll be staying with Laura for a while." "You're being dramatic," my mother said, but her voice wavered. "You don't need to leave." "I think I do." I went upstairs to my old bedroom. It had been converted into a guest room years ago, but some of my things were still there. Books, photos, a few boxes of mementos I'd never gotten around to moving to my apartment. I grabbed what I could carry. When I came back downstairs, Laura was waiting by the door. My parents stood in the living room, looking smaller somehow. "Please don't do this," my mother said. "We can talk about it. We can figure something out." "Figure what out?" "You've made your choice." "We haven't chosen anyone," my father said. "You chose Lucy. You've been choosing Lucy my entire life. I'm just finally accepting it." I followed Laura out to her car. As we pulled out of the driveway, I looked back at the house. My mother stood in the doorway, watching us leave. She didn't wave. Laura's guest room was clean and quiet. She helped me bring my things in, then made us both tea. "You can stay as long as you need to," she said. "No pressure, no timeline." "Thank you." "I mean it. I have the space, and I'm gone most weekdays anyway. Think of it as house sitting." I wrapped my hands around the warm mug. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why did you do that? Stand up for me like that?" Laura was quiet for a moment. "When you were little, maybe 6 or 7, we had a family gathering at your grandparents' house. You'd made this elaborate drawing to show everyone. You were so proud of it. But Lucy started crying about something, I don't even remember what, and your parents rushed to comfort her. You just stood there holding your drawing, waiting for someone to notice. Eventually you folded it up and put it in your pocket." She looked at me directly. "I watched you learn to make yourself small that day. And I've watched you do it ever since. Someone needed to tell you it was okay to take up space." I felt tears prick my eyes. "I don't know how to do this. How to not have my family." "You'll figure it out. And you won't be alone while you do." The next few weeks passed in a strange blur. I went to work, came back to Laura's house, tried to build some kind of routine. My parents called several times. I didn't answer. Lucy sent me one text, "Hope you're happy ruining my wedding." I blocked her number. The wedding happened without me. I saw the photos on social media before I could avoid them. Lucy looked beautiful. Everyone looked happy. There was no visible gap where I should have been. I tried not to let it hurt, but it did anyway. 2 weeks after the wedding, my mother showed up at my apartment. I'd stopped by to pick up some mail and found her waiting in the parking lot. We need to talk, she said. I don't think we do. Please. Just give me 10 minutes. Against my better judgment, I unlocked my apartment and let her in. She stood in my living room, looking around like she'd never been there before. Maybe she hadn't. I couldn't remember. The wedding was beautiful, she said. I'm sure it was. Lucy was asking about you afterward. What did she ask? She wanted to know if you'd seen the photos. I saw them. My mother twisted her hands together. She feels bad about how things went. Does she feel bad enough to apologize? You know how Lucy is. She doesn't always express things well. Right. And I'm supposed to just understand that and accept it. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to bridge this gap. There is no gap, Mom. There's a boundary. One I should have set years ago. Her expression hardened slightly. You're punishing us. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. By cutting off your family? You cut me off first. I'm just accepting it. She flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? You chose not to include me in Lucy's wedding. You chose to prioritize her comfort over my presence. You made a choice. I'm just responding to it. We were trying to keep the peace. By sacrificing me. You've been doing that my whole life. My mother's eyes filled with tears. I love you. We both do. You have to know that. I believe you love me. I don't believe you respect me. And I don't believe you see me clearly. You see the version of me that's convenient. The one who doesn't need anything, who doesn't complain, who manages her own emotions so you can manage Lucy's. That's the daughter you want. But that's not who I am anymore. What do you want from us? I want you to admit that you've played favorites my entire life. I want you to acknowledge that you've asked me to make myself smaller so Lucy could feel bigger. I want you to say out loud that what you did was wrong. She looked at me for a long moment. I can't do that. Then we're done here. Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Mom. You are. You're choosing, right now, to protect the narrative instead of protecting me. That's your choice. I'm just accepting it. She left without saying goodbye. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Hit that like button if you believe people have the right to set boundaries, even with family. There's more to this story, and the ending might surprise you. I stayed with Laura for 3 months. During that time, I got a promotion at work. I started therapy. I adopted a second cat. I learned what it felt like to live without the constant weight of trying to earn love I was never going to receive. My parents tried reaching out a few more times. Emails, mostly. Long messages about family and forgiveness and how much they missed me. They never acknowledged what they'd done. They just wanted me to come back and pretend it hadn't happened. I didn't respond. Lucy sent me a friend request on social media. I declined it. Laura and I fell into an easy routine. She worked long hours during the week, and I had the house mostly to myself. On weekends, we'd have dinner together and talk. She told me about her career, her choices, the family dynamics she'd observed over the years. Your father was the baby of the family, she said one evening. He was coddled by our mother. Never had to face consequences. I think he's recreating that with Lucy because it's the only parenting model he knows. And Mom? Your mother wants to be needed. Lucy provides that. You don't. It was a harsh truth, but it felt right. Eventually, I moved out of Laura's house and into a larger apartment. I started dating someone I met through work. I joined a book club. I built a life that didn't revolve around managing other people's emotions. 6 months after the wedding, my grandfather passed away. I went to the funeral because it felt like the right thing to do. My parents were there, of course. Lucy and Aaron. Other relatives I hadn't seen in months. People asked where I'd been, why I'd been so distant. I gave vague answers about being busy with work. No one pushed. At the reception, my mother approached me. "I'm glad you came," she said. "I came for Grandpa." "Still. It's good to see you." "Mom, I'm not ready to have this conversation." "When will you be ready?" "I don't know. Maybe never." "You can't stay angry forever." "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done." Lucy appeared at my mother's elbow. "Can we talk?" she asked me. "I don't think so. I want to apologize." "Okay." I waited. She looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry things got so messed up with the wedding stuff." "Things didn't get messed up, Lucy. You made a choice. Own it." I was stressed. I wasn't thinking clearly. "You were thinking very clearly. You wanted a wedding without me, and you got it. Congratulations." Her eyes welled up. "Why are you being so mean?" "I'm not being mean. I'm being honest. For the first time in our relationship, I'm being completely honest with you." I said I was sorry. "You said the words. But you don't actually think you did anything wrong. You think I'm overreacting. You think I'm being dramatic. You think if you say sorry, I'll just come back and everything will go back to normal. Won't it?" I looked at my sister, this person I'd spent my entire life trying not to eclipse, and felt nothing but sadness. "No," I said simply. "It won't." I left the reception early. A year passed. Then another. I got promoted again. My relationship became serious. We moved in together. I celebrated birthdays and holidays with chosen family, people who saw me clearly and valued me consistently. I heard through Laura that my parents were struggling financially. The wedding had cost more than they'd planned, and Lucy and Aaron had moved into their house to save money. For adults under one roof wasn't going well. I didn't reach out. I heard Lucy was pregnant. I sent a card with no return address, congratulating her. I didn't expect a response and didn't get one. My partner proposed on a quiet Sunday morning in our apartment. I said yes. When we started planning our wedding, the question came up naturally. "Will you invite your family?" he asked. I thought about it for a long time. "No," I said finally. "I don't think I will." "Are you sure?" They taught me that family is selective. That some people matter more than others. That it's okay to exclude people who don't fit the narrative you want. So I'm applying those lessons. He held my hand. "I support whatever you decide. But make sure you're doing it for the right reasons." "What are the right reasons?" "Not to hurt them. Not to prove a point. But because it's genuinely what you want." I thought about that for several days. In the end, I realized it was what I wanted. Not because I wanted revenge or to make a statement. But because I built a new life with new people who loved me without conditions. I didn't want to spend my wedding day managing my parents' feelings or watching Lucy make everything about her. I wanted one day that was purely mine. So I didn't invite them. I didn't announce it. I didn't send a dramatic message. I just had a small ceremony with 20 people who genuinely cared about me. Laura was there. My partner's family. Close friends. People who'd shown up for me consistently. It was perfect. My mother found out through a cousin who saw photos on social media. She called me 17 times in one day. I didn't answer. She sent emails. Long, painful messages about betrayal and cruelty, and how could I do this to them? I responded once. You taught me that it's acceptable to exclude family from important moments if their presence would bring the wrong energy. I learned that lesson. This is what it looks like when you apply it back. She didn't respond. My father sent one text, "You've made your point. I hope you're happy." I wrote back, "This isn't about making a point. This is about choosing peace." Lucy sent me a message through Laura, "Tell her she's a vindictive bitch and she's ruined our family." Laura didn't pass it along, but she told me about it later. We both knew Lucy would find a way to make herself the victim in this story. That was her nature, and our parents had spent a lifetime enabling it. The thing is, I wasn't trying to ruin anything. I was just finally protecting the one person no one else had ever protected. Me. 3 years have passed since Lucy's wedding. I'm 29 now, married, stable, genuinely happy in ways I never thought possible. I still talk to Laura regularly. She's become more of a parent to me than my actual parents ever were. We have dinner once a month, and she's teaching me to invest my money wisely. I haven't spoken to my parents since my wedding. They send cards on my birthday. I don't open them. Lucy had her baby. I heard through the family grapevine that she's struggling with motherhood, that she and Aaron are fighting a lot, that my parents are essentially raising the baby while Lucy figures herself out. I feel sympathy for the child. I know what it's like to be raised by people who enable dysfunction instead of addressing it. But I don't reach out. That's not my story anymore. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. If I miss my family. If I think I went too far. The truth is complicated. I miss the family I wish I'd had. I grieve the relationships that could have existed if my parents had been different people. But I don't miss the reality of what it actually was. I don't miss making myself small. I don't miss managing emotions that weren't mine to manage. I don't miss being the afterthought, the consolation prize, the child who didn't need attention because she'd learned not to ask questions.